Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news show. Today's video we'll be talking about the West Ham game, who's in the room and starting lineup, who's going to play against West Ham, news ahead of the game, looking into what Ten Hag said in the press conference, but also big transfer news surrounding Cody Gakpo to Manchester United, a massive story coming out of the Netherlands, which would basically mean that Cody Gakpo to Man United surely has to happen. There's got to be no excuses for Man United. But today, guys, has been a pretty good day. I mean, look at this. We look at the Premier League scores going on right now. No one really cares about Everton Fulham. Let's be real. But if we go and look at it, Newcastle, bloody hell, 4-0 win. But you go and look at it, 4-1 Brighton, people. 4-1. Makes me feel better about that 2-1. Makes me feel better about that 4-0. 4-1 to Brighton. When it was 3-0 Brighton, I was really open for 4, just so I felt a bit better about that. Spurs were 2-0 down and Benteke managed to win it in the 92nd minute. I was so annoyed, people. I thought that was it. I thought Tottenham and Chelsea bottling it opens top 4 for us. But if you still look at the Premier League table, a win today takes Manchester United into 5th on 23 points, 1 point behind Newcastle with a game in hand. But if we win our next 2 games, because obviously the other 2 teams have played 2 more games than us, we'd be on joint 3rd with Tottenham on 26 points if we can beat West Ham and Aston Villa, which are 2 sides that Manchester United most definitely should beat. And that would put us ahead of Chelsea and us right now, if we win our games in hand, and isn't it a big if, West Ham are a difficult side, but that would put Manchester United in 3rd place if they won their 2 games in hand. 3rd place, and that would only put us 6 points behind Man City, or technically 3 points, but they'd probably win their next game as well. So that puts United in a really good position as well. Obviously, we have got Fulham as well coming up, which is a tough side. They're only a point behind us. They're doing really well. But obviously, then we've got Aston Villa, who are 15th, who we should beat. They just lost 4-0 to Newcastle. But I tell you this now, I'm annoyed Tottenham won, but it's looking very good for United. United are in a very good position. And let's go smash West Ham, says David. We will get into the West Ham part of the video. But guys, top 4 is on. I know that sounds crazy, but top 4 is for a taking, especially how poor the other teams are. Europe is going to be hard, but Barca the favourites. I never thought I would be saying this come October, that United top 4 is on. I genuinely believed this season, before the season started, I thought we hadn't signed a midfielder. I thought, well, we'll probably come 6th or 7th. It's a rebuild process. We're not that good. And then we lost the first 2 games of the season. And in my head, I was like, that's 7th place, that's 6th place, maybe at push. I think we could do an Arsenal finish 8th or even mid-table. And, I always rated Ten Hag, and I always knew Ten Hag was a great manager, but I just thought, okay, well, this is going to be his season to just get used to things and stuff. But the changes Ten Hag's made already this season to United squad, it is unbelievable, really unbelievable, because you've actually got to really look at it and go, he's made some big differences in such a short period of time. We're slowly playing the Ten Hag way. We're dominating possession. We're winning games. He's changing the mentality. He wants to change the recruitment and the outside things of the club. And United, who lost 4-0 to Brentford and after losing 2-1 to Brighton the first 2 games of the season, they looked done, dusted, mudded. The players weren't trying. The players were just crap. And I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Another season of this. He's turned it around, Ten Hag. He did not let that deter him. He fought. He said, go do that 14-kilometre run. He got his discipline down. He got his Casemiro. He got his Antony signing. And we've not looked back since. If you take away the Man City loss, we haven't lost. Well, we did lose to Sociedad, but that was fucking bullshit. And we all know that. But we haven't lost really since Brentford, at bar Man City. And then the points we have dropped, Chelsea, Newcastle, you come out of those games going, we're unlucky to drop points. Like, the way Manchester United have been is fantastic. And I'm going to get into the Cody Gakpo story, because a massive news story has come out of the Netherlands basically saying PSV will have to sell Cody Gakpo for a cut price, and Man United are the favourites and all of that. We're going to get into that in just a second. But if you really look at it and you look at the whole scenario, guys, we seriously could get top 4. Chelsea bottling it. Spurs are crap. Spurs wanted it, but Spurs are crap. Liverpool are crap. Right now, United look like they're going to get 3rd. And I can't believe I'm saying that. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself because we haven't got the best depth. The Glazers probably won't invest in January because they're bastards. But right now, I feel like we're going to get 3rd place. I really feel like right now, United are the 3rd best team in the Premier League. And I don't look, 3rd's not 1st place. But what I'm saying is, If you looked at where Man United were at the beginning of the season, if you looked at where we were last season, as much as I rate Ten Hag, as much as I knew Ten Hag was brilliant, I thought Klopp came 7th this first season with Liverpool. I thought, no way in hell we're getting top 4. I thought, realistically, guys, we're not getting top 4, but you still got to back to them if we don't get top 4. It's a long process. Look at Arteta. 8th, 5th, now is in a title race. But I feel, sitting here as a United fan, the Sandro Martinez, as long as he doesn't get injured, Casemiro, as long as he doesn't get injured, and when Martial comes back, will be even better. I see as a United fan going, I believe this team will get top 4. We've had the hardest run of any team in the Premier League. No team has had a harder running than us. We've played the whole of the Big Six already. If we win our game in hand, we're in the top 4 after the start to the season we had. So I want everyone to sit there and give a fucking round of applause to Erik Ten Hag and give that video a smash of the like button. And I'm going to dive right into the transfer thing as well. But I want to dive into Cody Gakpo because United are in such a good position for top 4. But to get top 4, it's very obvious United have needed a striker. I've said this time and time again. It's so obvious Man United need another attacker in. It's so obvious that Manchester United need to go ahead and get a striker because the points that we have dropped, we dropped 2 points to Newcastle. We should have beat Newcastle. If we didn't drop those 2 points to Newcastle, we're sitting on 22 points. Having been our 2 games in hand, we're sitting in second, 2 points behind Arsenal. Well, actually, we beat Arsenal, but they're 2 games in hand. But, those 2 points versus Newcastle and those 2 points versus Chelsea, that was because we didn't have a striker. That's because we didn't have an attacker. Because we created the most clear-cut chances. We dominated the majority of that game. United could be on 4 more points right now if they had a good attacker, if they had a good striker, and if United, had taken their chances. And I just go, whenever we're dropping points, it's because we're not taking chances, because we're missing that profile and attack. And I sit here and I tweeted this. Antony and Cody Gakpo are a must in January. Back up right back, Diogo, Costa, Frankie de Jong. Those 5 signings, if we got them in 2023, I'll be very confident going into next season. And you know what? I'm very confident going into this season. We're not going to win the league. I'm not saying we're going to get top 4, but I'm actually saying United is seriously in the top 4 race. And you guys have got a chance to get top 4. I think it will be a battle with Newcastle. Newcastle are in the race for top 4. And you've got to give Eddie Howe some plaudits. He's been fantastic as well. And Daniel supports West Ham, but he's having a feeling that we're just going to beat them. West Ham's always a difficult game because the thing about West Ham is when they play United, they act like they're in a cup final and they always give us a tough game. But let's go and get into the transfer news, guys, because this is unbelievable. This is massive transfer news coming out as well. And Tobias says, Martial injury prone, we need Gakpo. Even though Gakpo's not a centre forward, United definitely need Cody Gakpo because of Martial. And with Ronaldo believed to leave in January, United have got to go out there and sign an attacker as well. But, we're talking to Gakpo. Robin Van Persie here says Gakpo's not really an out-and-out striker. He can play as a 10 on the wing or as a full striker. He can play in those 4 positions in front. He has good physique. He's fast, strong. He can dribble. He's an all-round player. Robin Van Persie here describing the kind of player that just came up on my feed. I wasn't expecting that to come up. Already describing the kind of player Gakpo is for you guys. If you didn't know, he's predominantly a left winger, but he can play as a 10. He's creative. He can play as a false 9. But this is the bit I really want to get into. This is the bit that is going to blow your mind away. And this is the thing that's going to tell you there's no reason Man United in hell cannot get Gakpo now. And this is why. The Telegraph, and it's the Dutch Telegraph, the D Telegraph, to be specific with you, is such a good source of information in terms of Dutch journalism. They were the source that was right about everything. Such a good source. And they are saying that Cody Gakpo has only been given a £26 million price tag in January. Now, people will read that and go, surely not. Why would he be 26 million? He's one of the most informed players in the world. No player has more goals and assists than Cody Gakpo. Why is Cody Gakpo's price tag so low? A lot of you might be saying. And I'm going to tell you this now. The price tag is low because PSV are under pressure to make a major sale in January due to their financial issues. So if we scroll down here, I'll get this up on the screen for you guys here. This is why the price is low. PSV are in a financial situation, and PSV actually were desperately trying to sack their footballing director in the summer because they've got in a big problem financially, PSV, and they need to sell Gakpo in January. I am telling you this now as a fact. Gakpo, 100% confirmed by tier 1 sources, is leaving PSG in January. PSV can't wait to the summer. They have to sell him, okay? Gakpo, 100% leaving PSV in January, but because PSV have to sell him, you know, they can't price them at 70, 80 million like Ajax did with Antony. They have to sell them for 30 million. And you're sitting here thinking, so Man United are leading the race for Gakpo. Man United are in contact with Gakpo. Eric Ten Hag and Gakpo have the same agent. Gakpo's come out publicly and said he wants to come to United. Eric Ten Hag wants Cody Gakpo. Ruud van Nistelrooy has a great relationship with United. PSV have to sell Gakpo. Ronaldo likely to leave in January. David Ornstein says if Ronaldo leaves, United will fast-track one of their summer targets and bring an attacker in January. Everything's adding up for Cody Gakpo to happen. There's no excuse for the Glazers not to make this happen because he's £30 million, people. Like, that is so 30 million euros even. That's 26 million pounds we could get him for. Like, that is an absolute steal. That is daylight robbery. They cannot reject a 30 million euro bid because they need the money urgently for Gakpo. We're talking about the guy with the most goals and assists in Europe. We're talking about the guy that Ten Hag wanted in the summer. We're talking about the guy that Ten Hag's still in contact with. We're talking about an attacker that we desperately need because we're not scoring enough goals. And the most informed player in Europe, I know he plays in the Eredivisie, but the most informed player in Europe that was dominating Arsenal in the Europa League 2 days ago is available 30 million for United. And we are scouting him, we're in contact with him, and we are the favourites to sign him, according to reliable sources. Fabrizio Romano says, keep an eye on Gakpo to United. If they sign someone in January, Gakpo is a real possibility. Ornstein saying if Ronaldo goes, United signing someone in January is a possibility. And it's at the situation where the price is so good, the player is so good. I'm worried that there's serious teams going to come in for Gakpo and beat us to him because they'll be serious about it. United will dolly around in the January transfer window, fuck about and lose out on Gakpo to someone like Real Madrid. Because when he's that price and when he's been that good this season, and when Real Madrid, City and Arsenal are all looking at Gakpo on top of United now, in the summer it was between us, Southampton and Leeds. Now all the big teams are in for him. United cannot afford to muck about on this. There is not an excuse if we don't get Gakpo. There's not an excuse because we know Ten Hag wants him. We know Ten Hag wants players in January. We know he wants the move. We know he's available for a good price. There's not a single logical reason why this wouldn't happen. And if this deal doesn't happen, it will be because the Glazers want that £30 million for their dividends. It will be because the bloody Glazers want that £30 million for their dividends rather than investing in the squad and getting top four. Because I sit here confidently and say top four is on for United. But I generally believe if Manchester United got Gakpo in January, that's top four confirmed. I said this last year and I'm going to say this again this year. I've always said the team that invests in January will be the team that ends up getting top four. I will say this before, I will say it again. Tottenham Hotspur invested last January. It was between United, Arsenal and Tottenham for top four last season. And the team that invested in January, Tottenham Hotspur, ended up getting top four in the summer. And I think United are in such a good place for top four. But if all the other teams start investing, we fall behind. And it throws me back to my point. If you want top four, you've got to invest in January, people. Got to invest. Van der Beek should be competing for a first team spot. We're going to talk about Donny van der Beek in just a second, guys. I'm just going to take a swig of water here. We're going to be talking about Donny van der Beek in a second because Ten Hag's spoken about how he's going to use Donny van der Beek this season. And Diogo says we're only 54 likes away from 100 likes, people. So please do hit that like button. As Diogo says, guys, make sure you smash that like button. And of course, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. Remember, I go live every single evening in the channel, guys, keeping you up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. So if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Go ahead and subscribe. But I want to get into some more stories as well. I want to get into another bit regarding the Gakpo news, and then I'm going to get into some Antony news. Then I'm going to get into the new goalkeeper news going to Manchester United, and then we're going to get into just the general news about what's going on at United. But the non-sale of Gakpo to Leeds in the summer transfer window led to technical director John De Jong receiving the vote of no confidence from the board, which led to a departure. And this was because Gakpo didn't move in the summer, and they needed him to go in the summer, PSV. They needed Gakpo to leave in the summer, and they've got financial issues, which means that Gakpo now has to leave PSV in January. If I can find the other story here, Van Persie spoke about Gakpo. He said he's a good player. He always finds a way in most games to have an influence in terms of making goals and assists. And we know from the numerous amount that I've spoken about Gakpo, and I won't speak about him too much more, that United have obviously been keeping an eye on Gakpo. He's obviously a fantastic player, and he's obviously got the most goals and assists in Europe as well. I'd rather hold off than bring in Tony, says Ragnar. And we need more goals. I think Ronaldo will start tomorrow. I will get into the Manchester United versus West Ham lineup in just a second. We will talk about that game, but I think Rashford will start as Daniel. And it's the rumoured lineup going about is that Marcus Rashford is starting tomorrow as well. And Southampton had more shots on target than Palace today, but fell off shortly. You know what? Strikers can make such a difference as well. But Matt's asked me a good question here. Are Manchester United in for Edson Alvarez? Now, Edson Alvarez is an Ajax player that Manchester United were linked to in the summer, but he was more heavily linked to Chelsea. Edson Alvarez tried to do an Antony to leave Ajax in the summer, but obviously because Antony left, they refused to let Edson Alvarez go to Chelsea, who were desperate to sign the player. Now, Edson Alvarez is looking for a January or summer move out of Ajax, and he's rumoured to United and Chelsea. He'll be rumoured to United because he's a Ten Hag player. He worked with Ten Hag. United definitely need another profile in midfield. That's, of course, why he's linked to Manchester United. But he was linked to Chelsea because he almost signed for Chelsea in the summer, but Ajax didn't let it happen. I believe that there's some truth in the story thinking Edson Alvarez to Manchester United, but I don't think that there is. It's not as strong as Gakpo to United. It's not as strong as Frimpong to United. It's very obvious that United right now want a right back and a striker before anything. Edson Alvarez is not at the top of their priority list, whereas Chelsea really do want Edson Alvarez. So I believe Edson Alvarez of Ajax is probably headed to Chelsea in 2023 over Manchester United. But obviously, you never know with the transfer rumours. We could get Edson Alvarez. There are rumours of us going in for him, but I expect to see him at Chelsea as well. Where would Gakpo play? I think Gakpo would play left wing, Arashi striker, and Antony right wing, but then occasionally maybe Rashi on the left, Gakpo centre forward, and occasionally with Martial. But Gakpo will predominantly play on the left wing for United, but occasionally fill in as a 10 and a centre forward. And the big thing about Gakpo, and Robin Van Persie said this, is Gakpo can play as a 10 and a second striker. So we can almost play Gakpo in Bruno's role if Bruno drops off, and actually have a lineup of Rashford on the left, Gakpo in Bruno's role, Martial up top and Antony on the right, which I think would be really, really exciting as well. And Ten Hag's desperate for Gakpo. Is Ronnie starting tomorrow? Reportedly, Rashford is starting as striker tomorrow, but we will get into that in a second as well. And I hope we get Gakpo and get Frimpong. These two would complete the team. And these are the two players that United are set to go out for in January. News coming out from reliable journalists say that if Ronaldo leaves in January, United will spend money. And Frimpong and Gakpo are the two signings that United seem bound to go out and try their best to get in January. Now, the thing with Cody Gakpo is he's £30 million. He's got a really cheap price tag on him because he has to be sold in January. And United can now get Gakpo for an affordable price. So there's no excuse for United not to get Gakpo. The only thing I'm worried about is Fabrizio Romano has confirmed, United are still in contact with Gakpo. United are scouting Gakpo. Yes, Ten Hag wants Gakpo. But now all these other teams want Gakpo. And are we going to lose out because we didn't get Gakpo in the summer and we thought we'd wait till January because now he's been so good, other teams are in for him. Whereas Frimpong, he's a good player. Again, other teams are in for him. But I feel like United will win that race. I'm just going to take a quick swig of water, guys. So keep smashing the like button. We do have Sancho, says Lou Manu. Yeah, I still think there's a good player in Sancho. A lot of people are riding off Sancho. A lot of people say they're really worried about Jadon Sancho at Manchester United at the moment. And I'll be honest, Sancho's been disappointing. But the reason I'm not overly worried about Jadon Sancho, and I'm going to say this now, is because we've seen flickers of what Jadon Sancho can do this season. We've seen flickers of it. We've seen Jadon Sancho have the old game where he's got the ball, he's been really well. We saw it in pre-season, we've seen it in 2 or 3 games this season. Jadon Sancho looking absolutely solid. So although Jadon Sancho, yes, he's massively dropped off, although there's definitely something going on with Jadon Sancho, and I think that he should be dropped and Garnacho should start versus West Ham. I do think that Erik Ten Hag's a good manager. Erik Ten Hag got Rashford back when it all went wrong. I mean, look, if you compare Rashford this season to last season, Rashford last season was unrecognisable. Rashford already has more goals and assists this season than last season. I think that'll be the same with Sancho. I think he's a player that once Ten Hag works with him and gets his confidence back, we'll see the best out of Jadon Sancho, because you don't go from being that good in the Bundesliga to flopping in the Prem. He's a good player. He's not used to the league. He came into Ole's system where the coaching style was unsustainable. I still believe there's a top player in Jadon Sancho, but I just think right now, if I had a choice of playing Gakpo left wing or Jadon Sancho left wing, I think I'd be picking Cody Gakpo. He's in a much better form, and maybe that would give Sancho the kick up the arse, because Malacia coming in has made Luke Shaw a completely different player. Luke Shaw has had a massive kick up the arse since Malacia's come in, and maybe Sancho needs that Garnacho dropping him again versus West Ham or a Gakpo coming in to give him the kick up the arse. Because look, Ten Hag got Rashford back to his best. Ten Hag brought out a new side in Diogo De. Ten Hag's done lots of positive things, and I do solely believe, I 100% believe that there's still a player in Jadon Sancho. I'm worried about him. He's not playing well. He's not taking on his man. He's playing like he doesn't want his boots to get creased. That phrase is so accurate. But with Sancho, I just know how good he can be. We see glimpses of it. It's about consistency. And I just think for him, it's a confidence issue. It's about finding confidence. And hopefully he finds his confidence. But I still think because he's not found his confidence, new attackers are needed for Manchester United until Sancho can find his confidence. Gaz says Donny should start versus West Ham. I'd be shocked if Donny van de Beek did start, but I think Donny van de Beek will likely be involved in West Ham, especially if we can't break down a low block as well. I think Donny, I said this yesterday, Donny gives United the ability to break down a low block with his movement, and I think that's something that if we're struggling against West Ham, I solely believe that Ten Hag will bring on Donny van de Beek. And Cody Gakpo at the top of his game right now, and it's right, he wants the move. Yeah, Cody Gakpo wants the United move. Cody Gakpo said publicly he wants the Manchester United move as well. But Edson Alvarez best mates with Martinez. I think he would choose United over Chelsea because of Ten Hag and all the Ajax players at United. But I think Chelsea are more interested in him. And if he wants to leave Ajax, I think Chelsea would probably end up getting Edson Alvarez as well. You know, we've got to look outside of Ajax. Alex B saying, you know, we've got to look outside of Ajax with their fees. And I think we do. I think we need, while the Ajax players have been good, especially Lisandro Martinez, I think United have definitely got to look outside Ajax, diversify things as well. And Gakpo has an eye for goal and is a big lad. I think he could become a number 9 eventually. We need more depth up front regardless. Yeah, Gakpo can play anywhere across the front three. I think he'd come in United, he'd be a left winger, and he'd probably kick Sancho out of spot. But Gakpo's the type of player that could play as a number 9, that can play all across the front three. He's almost a similar player to Rashford in a sense. Nothing similar, but yeah. Jadon Sancho is not a massive flop. He's done some great things. I think it's too early to call Sancho a flop because he is, 22 years of age. He is still so young. He's still got so many years ahead of him. It's just, I think, frustrating with Jadon Sancho because we saw what he did in the Bundesliga and he shows moments of it for United. He does show moments of what he can do, Jadon Sancho, but he doesn't seem to show those moments for more than 10 minutes. And that's what really frustrates me about Jadon Sancho as well. And Oli chased Sancho for a year, then didn't play him, which definitely didn't help with confidence. The thing that annoyed me about Sancho to United was, like, he was a young lad fitting into a new team in a very unsustainable coaching style, playing for a team that actually didn't really benefit the way that suits him. You know, you've also got to look at it like that. The way we play isn't, you know, the best way in terms of benefiting Sancho. Just the way we play benefit Sancho? Honestly, not really. And Sancho had to fit into this. But as soon as Sancho got to United, he had the media on him. He had so much attention on him, so much media attention on him from the minute he arrived at United. So as soon as he went like 3 games without getting a goal or assist, he was being labelled flop. And then he got dropped from the England team and his confidence shattered. He suffered that horrible racist abuse in the Euros. He comes to United, Oli barely plays him. So then when he does play, he's not match sharp because of everything. So then he gets criticised. Then he gets called a flop. Then they start going their 007, 0 goals, 0 assists in 7 games. Jadon Sancho, they start going in on him, looking to slate him. And I think that Jadon Sancho's confidence was just broken. And I think, like Rashford, Sancho was lacking confidence. And Sancho is lacking confidence. I think Rashford last season was broken. And a lot of it was confidence. And I think Sancho this season, although he's nowhere near as bad as Rashford last season, Sancho this season, he gets the ball and he just keeps the ball and he passes it back and he doesn't take on his man. Like, you've got to take on your man. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. And, you know, Garnacho gets the ball. He's very direct with the ball. He gets the ball. He takes on his man. He runs at players. He brings the ball from the outside of the box to inside the box. And that's what we're literally crying out for Sancho to do. So I think it's really important that Sancho is blocked, benched versus West Ham. And someone like Garnacho does play to just set that example as well. And hopefully, you know, with Garnacho starting to play and maybe someone like Cody Gakpo coming in, as Luke Shaw loves competition, and Luke Shaw's had this massive resurgence since Malassi's come in, maybe we'll see like this kind of resurgence happen to someone like Sancho where he just needs that kick up the arse as well. Still like Sancho much more from the right. He's much more creative and fluid that flank, but not likely with Antony there. Exactly. This is the problem. Antony's a 10 Hag signing, so Antony's guaranteed right winger for United, like Lisandro Martinez is guaranteed left centre back. But I think playing on the right suits Jadon Sancho more than playing on the left. Because Jadon Sancho isn't as quick as Rashford or our other wingers, it takes a lot more thinking for him to beat his man. It's harder for him to beat his man. And when Jadon Sancho is playing on the right, it comes naturally to him. He can get the ball, he can do his clever things, he can make that cross. When he's playing on the left, there's an expectation of him to beat his man, cut in and get the shot off. And I think he overthinks it, and I think he's scared, and he's not as good. I don't think he's as good on the left because of his lack of pace. I think Sancho on the right, putting good crosses into Cristiano Ronaldo, giving good service to a box-to-box striker is much more influential, because whenever Sancho's played on the right, which was pre-season, I thought he was really, really good for United, because he could just do his skills, he could link up play. I thought Sancho and Diogo were building good partnerships. So I know Antony's constantly playing on the right, and I like Antony playing on the right, but and he keeps playing Sancho on the left though. I'd like to still see Sancho seen as a right winger. I like Antony, but Antony and Sancho have got to be our right wing options. We do need to give Sancho a goal on the right wing, but I actually do think right now Sancho is a better player on the right wing. Let me know what you think. Would you Sancho on the right wing or Sancho on the left wing as well? Guys, make sure you smash that like button, and of course subscribe down below. Is it Harry or Martin next game? Any news on Varane? Varane is out injured until after the World Cup, so it will be either Lissandro and Maguire, or Lissandro and Lindelof as well. People are saying Bruno Fernandes round 2 about Cody Gakpo in January. And actually, I want to get this up here, people. I want to get this up, actually. I want to go back to the Cody Gakpo story. So, obviously, we were speaking about it. But look here. This is a very good tweet if it comes up. Bruno Fernandes round 2. And the reason United Robbo is saying that is because that summer with Ollie, where we spent a lot of money on those 3 players, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Dan James. I say we spent a lot of money. We absolutely wasted a shit ton of money. But we were linked to Bruno Fernandes that summer. We thought we were going to get Bruno Fernandes in a final signing, and it didn't happen. And then we ended up getting Bruno Fernandes that January. Cody Gakpo could just be the Bruno Fernandes saga all over again. We're linked to him in the summer. We think we're going to get him in the summer. Something happens, we can't get him in the summer, and we end up getting him in January for a cut price. It seems like it's the Bruno Fernandes situation round 2 with Cody Gakpo. Someone that's got very good stats, someone that's in very good form, someone we almost signed in the summer, someone that we want in January, but there'll be a bit of competition for him in January, and someone hopefully that we get. But I think United Robbo's right here. PSV cannot reject bids of over 30 million euros for Cody Gakpo in January, as they need to make money urgently. I mean, you really look at it and you go, tier 1 sources telling me that Cody Gakpo will leave PSV in January, and they cannot reject bids over this amount because they need the money. You're literally telling me from tier 1 sources that he's going to leave and he's going to be available for this amount of money. And I think that United would be idiotic to pass up on that. I know United don't want to spend in January. We all know United don't want to spend in January, but United would have to be seriously, and I mean seriously, and I know we're idiotic, I know we're stupid in the transfer window, we'd have to be seriously idiotic to miss out on this. This is a player your manager wanted in the summer. This is a player that wants to go to your club. This is a player who's the most informed player in the world right now. And he's only 30 million euros because of PSV's situation. It's like, whether you want to spend in January or not, you fast track this player from the summer to January, and United are buzzing. United are in a really good scenario as well. Guys, make sure you smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if we're new. We'll sign for 45 mil. At least. Do you know what really annoys me? And do you know what I want to actually get into? This frustrates me. It still does frustrate me. Honestly, it's the pure fact that Cody Gakpo. Oh, Romano put out a video on Cody Gakpo yesterday, which I will discuss. But Cody Gakpo, they were telling United we'd have to pay 40 million for Cody Gakpo. In the summer, Man United's plan was to go out and get Cody Gakpo. And they said to United, if you want Cody Gakpo in the summer, you've got to go out and you've got to spend £42 million. Then when we said, nah, we can't afford Gakpo, we just spent 100 million on Antony, la-di-la-di-la, PSV were desperate to get rid of Gakpo for 25 million. Cody Gakpo was going to go to Southampton for 25 million, and he decided to stay at PSV. You've got to remember that. He decided to stay at PSV. So, fucking hell, very tired. Sorry about that. But it's mad, because how can, Southampton be told they can, and Leeds be told this player's 25 million, but a week before you tell Leeds and Southampton this player's 25 million, you tell us he's 42 million. Like, Man United tax is a real thing. And although Gakpo is 30 million euros, they know that they can't say no to that. But, PSV also will probably look at United, know that they're stupid in the transfer, and know that they're desperate. And Man United the price of Cody Gakpo will probably be knocked up for Manchester United. But going back to obviously this tweet on the screen, it feels like Bruno round 2. And I think it's going to be like Bruno round 2. And the only thing that worries me about it being Bruno Fernandes round 2 is I feel like this is going to drag on the whole January transfer window, because United just can't get a deal done at the beginning of January. I feel like this saga is going to be going on to like January 27th, January 28th if he hasn't got a move. However, I think the only thing that makes it easy for United is obviously, we're in a stronger position with Gakpo. But the problem is, I think if we fuck about with the Cody Gakpo deal, another team will go in and get him. So we can't even fuck about this as well. But I'll be the new owner of the club. We will talk about new owners for Manchester United as well. And Sancho on the right wing is like a pre-season. It's just like pre-season in Asia. And Jadon Sancho was fantastic in pre-season in Asia, which is again why I want to see Sancho on the right. But I think Antony right now is not getting dropped. Talking of Antony, I don't know if you guys are like this as well, but I really hope Antony comes out and he does his stupid skill moves. I really hope that Antony goes and winds up the whole British media and goes and does his skill moves tomorrow. Goes and does his silly spin and pisses everyone off in the media, because the treatment of Antony from the British media, I do not care, is a disgrace. The treatment of Antony from the British media is a freaking disgrace, guys. Like, they're targeting him like Paul Popper. I said this in my live stream yesterday. All he's done is a fucking spin and kicked it out of play. It's harmless. The spin was funny. The spin was fun. It gave some entertainment to the fans. And people are talking about Antony as if he's the bloody devil. Them lot on Sky Sports are talking about Antony as if he's the devil. Antony's not the devil, Sky Sports. Antony's just a Brazilian footballer with a little bit of flair. But here comes Sky Sports acting like Antony's the devil. How dare he do a skill move? How dare he have fun? That even his Brazilian teammates are coming out and protecting him. And you know what really annoyed me about that Antony skill move is that we won 3-0. It's not like we lost the game and Antony doing the skill move gave away the goal that meant United lost the game or something like that. Antony had nothing to do with the reason, United would have lost the game, because we didn't lose the game, we won the game. Antony did some funny skill, he kicked it out of play, whatever. But it's the same people that are defending Ronaldo, sticking up for Ronaldo, refusing to come on and walking out early, that are then saying that Antony should be benched for doing a silly skill move. I can't believe 2 days after the Man United match, people in the media are still talking about the Antony skill move, still annoyed about it. United won 3-0. How was it even the talking point on Sky Sports? Like, why was that even the talking point? Antony's freaking skill move when we win 3-0. And I'll tell you what I want tomorrow. I'll tell you what I want to see happen tomorrow. I want Antony to go and do that bloody skill move tomorrow. I want him to keep doing it versus West Ham. I don't care if he gives the ball away stupidly. I want Antony to go and do that skill move versus West Ham. And I want, these fucking old school pundits that got no personality to just pipe down. Yes, no one was on him. Yes, he was just showboating a little bit and he made himself look like a little bit of a did, because as soon as he showboated, the ball went off. But why is it such a bad thing when a footballer, like a Brazilian footballer, goes and does a bit of skill? Why is it such a bad thing? It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. And the same idiots are the ones talking about it. The people that would go in on everything Paul Pogba done are now going in on Antony. He is the new Paul Pogba because he's a big money signing. He's foreign. He's got some piercings. He dyes his hair. He's a tricky, skillful guy. He's that character that the media can't handle. They don't like that footballers are fun. They do social media, have a bit of personality. They want footballers to be Brexit. And, it just winds me up so much, this whole Antony situation as well. Scholes is not clowning, he's a club legend. I love Paul Scholes. I think he's one of the best players to ever play for United. I think he's the best player I've ever really seen watching on the TV in terms of actually Scholes' ability. But as a pundit, they're awful. I love our United players, but my God, we've got some awful people in punditry. It's like Ronaldo can walk off and do this, but no, Antony can't do a skill move. You must bench Antony. You must give Antony discipline for doing a skill move. It's crazy. Even Erik ten Hag came out and spoke about the Antony skill move. Even Erik ten Hag came out and showed his frustration with the British media. Ten Hag took shots at the British media. He was saying, what have they won? Ten Hag said, England talk a lot for a country that haven't, the media, in England talk a lot for a country that haven't won a lot. And he's right. He's a little bit flair. He scores at least 20 in flair. Antony's got flair, and that's what they don't like. We're on 143 likes, people. Please, can we try and hit 300 likes on the video? Smash that like button for Cody Gakpo to United. Confirmed that he will be available for around £30 million. No excuse. No reason why Manchester United can't get Cody Gakpo. He's going to be the bargain of the freaking season. So make sure you smash that like button, people, if you want Cody Gakpo to United. But I want to get into the next story, and this is Manchester United signing goalkeeper Diogo Costa. David De Gea's contract, while De Gea wants his contract to be renewed, Manchester United are debating renewing De Gea's contract, and that United are seriously interested in Diogo Costa, the goalkeeper. The Porto goalkeeper, the Portuguese goalkeeper, is a young, up-and-coming goalkeeper. He is brilliant. His all-round game is brilliant. And while De Gea has been a fantastic servant of United, and while De Gea has been fantastic for United, Ten Hag ultimately wants a goalkeeper that's good with the ball at his feet, good at distributing, can play a high line, because Ten Hag wants to push up really high at the pitch. He wants that Ederson-type goalkeeper, and that's what you get in Diogo Costa. And there's rumours that De Gea wants a new contract at United, blah-de-la-de-la-de-la. But there's rumours that Ten Hag is very much interested in getting Diogo Costa and letting De Gea go, and that Diogo Costa is the first choice goalkeeper. We know that Ten Hag wants Jeremy Frimpong, a right back. We know that Ten Hag wants Diogo Costa, a goalkeeper. We know that Ten Hag wants a striker. We know Ten Hag wants Gakpo, and we also know Ten Hag wants Frankie de Jong. And we know that's what Ten Hag wants to do in 2023. But the big question is, De Gea, will we even renew his contract? Does that mean we let De Gea go on a free? There's serious talk that Man United are going to let De Gea go on a free. They haven't decided they're going to extend his contract by a year yet because of his wage bill and because Ten Hag wants a goalkeeper. This is what, Pep did. He waited a season until he got Ederson. I love De Gea. He's a great servant to the club, but Ten Hag's long-term plan is getting a new goalkeeper in. Would you stick with De Gea, or are you with Ten Hag to get a new goalkeeper? Talking of the West Ham game, we are going to get into the news and preview for the West Ham game, but it's a must-win game tomorrow, especially considering Chelsea have dropped points, and this gives us a golden opportunity to go into the top four. West Ham tomorrow, I think, is a must-win game more than ever. Glazers out, says Charlie. Yeah, big up Glazers out in the chat, people, as well. And Gakpo is a left wing. He can play striker as well, similar to Rashford, but with better football IQ. Good way of describing him. I still think we need a striker. I think striker is United's number one priority. But if we can't get our striker target in the summer, we get Gakpo in January to get us through to the summer. Then the summer we get that Ivan Toney, we get that Osimhen, we get with that who United want. A lot of people say stick with De Gea for another year or two. I'm happy to do one more year with De Gea. But if Ten Hag wants the goalkeeper in next season, and that's what you've got to give Ten Hag, because goalkeepers are basically so important to how football teams play now out from the back. And we see that Ten Hag wants players that are very good on the ball, very good at playing out from the back. And I think Ten Hag does want to sign a goalkeeper. He does want to sign Diogo Costa. So I don't know if De Gea is going to get that new contract or not at United. It's a big one that you have to wait and see. Bruno got that new contract, and Ten Hag reportedly was not happy with Manchester United going out and giving Bruno Fernandes a new contract. Reportedly, Ten Hag was actually fuming with that. So it'll be interesting to see if United do go out and give any new contracts, considering that Ten Hag is so against United giving out new contracts, reportedly fuming that Bruno got one. So I don't see De Gea getting a new contract unless he continues to play football that's really impressing Ten Hag. And De Gea's been good this season, to be fair to him. He has been very good, but he's not what Ten Hag wants long term. Now we are talking a bit about transfer news, guys, and I will get into other news. Someone said Frankie or Bellingham. I still go with Frankie de Jong, but most people I think will go with Bellingham because he's younger. I just still think Frankie de Jong, man, he completes the United side. But let me go to my Twitter. Obviously, I said this, wake up, Man United, he wants to join, and Ten Hag wants him, no excuses. We're talking about Gakpo, the price being set. But I've been saying, in my opinion, Tottenham and Chelsea opening up top four, because Tottenham and Chelsea have been dropping the points lately. Gakpo is only 30 million. Who's I would do for Gakpo and Tony in January? I think that's top four, surely. Never thought I'd be saying that 2 months ago. And Diogo Costa, the right back in the summer, would be nice, is what I was saying regarding the news as well. And obviously, you know my meme that's nearly on 1,000 likes. Bench him for show doting. How dare he get banned? But obviously, the situation looking very, very good with Cody Gakpo to United. And I want to get this up for you. I want to get this up actually. Is Cody Gakpo stats. Again, I know we show this all the time. But look at this. We have to look at this We have to look at this one more time. 21 games, 13 goals, 14 assists. Playing centre forward, left wing and left mid. This is Cody Gakpo. This is the player that's desperate to come to United. This is the player that's available for 30 million because their club need to sell them. This is the player that's scoring goals and assisting goals when we're lacking goals. I know he's not a striker, But Ronaldo wants to leave in January. We've got issues with Martial. He wants to come. Ten Hag wants him. Surely we should be going out there and doing everything we can for Cody Gakpo as well. Erik ten Hag needs to be backed now with everyone and around us dropping points. What happened last season does not. Yeah, 100% is what I'm saying. Why I've been banging on about Gakpo for so long is purely because everyone around us is dropping massive points. All the teams around Man United dropping points after points after points after points. So United need to capitalise on this and invest in January as well. Gakpo scored 9 goals in 11 games as a striker as well, according to David. So, I mean, it just shows how good he is as well. But we are going to jump into the West Ham news in just a second, guys. Ten Hag is reportedly going to make the last call about the goalkeeper, but reportedly Ten Hag's thought process is let De Gea go on a free and bring in Diogo Costa as well. But Erik ten Hag spoke about Donny van de Beek. Erik ten Hag actually spoke about Donny van de Beek's cameo versus Sheriff, and ten Hag sort of spoke about Donny van de Beek and what Donny van de Beek's role is expected to be at Manchester United as well. So ten Hag said this regarding Donny van de Beek. He said Donny came in the last part of the Sheriff game and he got in good possessions. He got in between the lines, and I think that combination was good. And I believe Donny van de Beek is going to come on as a sub more and be more and more involved for United when we can't break down teams with a low block. Because Ten Hag saw that Donny came on, and because he got in good positions between the line, because he made some good off the ball work, because his combination was good, he moves the ball quickly, it was a lot easier for United to break down Sheriff. And when Donny's on the pitch, United have been a lot better at breaking down teams because his positioning drags the opposition players out wide. His positioning has to, means that he can get in good areas. It means we can move the ball quicker. It means we can break down teams. And we've been talking about how I believe Ten Hag's going to get top 4, but we've been saying the one thing United's struggling with is taking chances and breaking down low blocks. Donny can help break down low blocks. A striker can help with the chances as well. But I believe Donny van de Beek's going to be more heavily involved. I thought he was good in his 10-minute cameo versus Sheriff. I think he will be a good player for United, Donny van de Beek. And I do think that he's not going anywhere. There's rumours he's set to leave in January, but I think Ten Hag wants him, and I think Ten Hag plans on using him. And I know that Ten Hag hasn't rotated the squad a lot, but I think, Donny's at least coming on for 10 minutes as a sub. Under Ollie, he'd come on for 2 minutes. I do think that Donny's been injured. It's not like Ten Hag's barely played Donny. It's because Donny van de Beek has just basically been injured this whole season. I think if Donny can stay back and fit with some of the midfield issues we've had regarding, actually breaking teams down, and especially because Donny's the only player that can do that Bruno role, I believe Donny will play. And one of the reasons I believe Donny will play is because Donny van de Beek's the only player in that United squad that can do that Bruno and Eriksen role. McTominay and Fred aren't those kind of players. They cannot play as a 10. And Donny van de Beek's the only player in the Man United squad that if something happens to Bruno or Eriksen can fill in those two roles. And I think with games coming every 3 days, with Bruno needing a rest, I think a player like Donny van de Beek will have to play because he's going to have to rest Bruno some games. He's going to have to rest Bruno here. He's going to have to rest Bruno there. And I think because, we tried Fred as a 10, it didn't work because Donny can play in that role. I still personally believe myself, a midfield three of Donny, Eriksen and Casemiro would cook. If we benched Bruno for a game, gave him a rest because Bruno needs benching for a game and a rest for a game, and we played Casemiro, Eriksen, Donny as a midfield three, I generally believe it would cook. I believe it will cook. And I think Donny will get a chance to do that because he, again, is the only player that Ten Hag will play as a 10 that's not Bruno as well. Lucky says, Jim Ratcliffe Emirates to buy a crucial for US £6.4 billion. You know what? We need the Glazers to sell Manchester United, but unfortunately, they ain't going anywhere because they're trying to rebuild the Super League as well. I like Van der Beek, was furious with how Solskjaer treated him, me too, and I expect him to play a lot more as well. And everyone said Dion was 110% going to Man U in the summer, and how did that turn out? Last year with Declan Rice, he was still at West Ham. Don't believe every bit of transfer news. No, I've not said that Gakpo's 100% going to United. I said that Gakpo's 100% leaving PSV in January. The news isn't Gakpo's 100% going to United. The news is Gakpo's 100% leaving PSV in January, and it could be for a price like 30 million because of PSV's financial issues. That is the story regarding Gakpo. It's got nothing to do with, he's not 100% coming to United, but if United are the favourites to sign Gakpo, United have been scouting Gakpo, United have a good relationship with Gakpo's agents, United have been doing this with Gakpo, that with Gakpo. Gakpo said publicly he wants to come to United. We know that Ten Hag wants Gakpo. We know that we're in for Gakpo in the summer. We know that Gakpo actually agreed personal terms to come. We know that PSV have to sell. We're just saying it's logical for Gakpo to come because he has to go in January. And a tier 1 sources confirm Gakpo will have a move in January. There will be a big Gakpo move in January. Whether it's to Real Madrid, whether it's to Arsenal, whether it's to Man United, we have to wait out and see. Because Arsenal, the type of team that could beat us to it, so could Man City, so Real Madrid. Because unfortunately, United is slow in the transfer market, too slow in the transfer market as well. I would be very careful in getting rid of De Gea. I would keep De Gea, even I brought Casa because United have struggled finding the right, even if I brought Costa because United have struggled buying the right keepers in the past. A lot of people saying, yeah, like we should keep De Gea for another year, sell Dean Henderson and use the Dean Henderson funds to go toward Diogo Costa, but keep De Gea as backup for a year in case things go wrong because United sign a lot of players. I mean, I think that's something we could do. It's just a question of, is De Gea going to be content with being backup? It's kind of working at Chelsea right now with Mendy and Kepa, having two good keepers challenge each other seems to be working quite well at Chelsea. So maybe it's something that United could try with Diogo Costa and David De Gea. But at the same time, when David De Gea is the second top earner at Manchester United, do you really want him sitting on the bench when he makes that much money when we could have just let him go and not have to pay his wages? It's like with Ronaldo, we could have just let him go, but we're just sitting there paying his wages and he's on the bench a lot. But I think David De Gea is a goalkeeper. If Diogo Costa impresses, De Gea is on the bench nearly every game of the season. And do you want to be giving 500 grand a week to someone that sits on the bench? But it's an interesting one because I do think United need to make sure they have two solid keepers next season if they do get a new one, just in case he doesn't work. Because there's so many examples where United signed goalkeepers in the past and they've been crap as well. And Gakpo was very upset he didn't sign for United in the summer as well, which I think increases our chance of getting him. It's obvious that Gakpo's wanted this United move, and there will be a transfer merry-go-round in the summer. Italy and Spain teams are screwed financially. They will have a big sell. I tell you what, the Premier League is becoming the Super League. The amount of money in the Premier League, guys, is unbelievable. Aston Villa spend more than La Liga teams now. Wolves have spent more than a lot of teams. There's a lot of money at Wolves. There's a lot of money at Aston Villa. There's a lot of money, obviously, in the big six sides. Newcastle got ridiculous amounts of money. There's other big teams in the Premier League spending money as well. Leicester in the past have spent large sums of money. Leeds are willing to spend 30-40 million pounds on players and they're a relegation club. Nottingham Forest, they're spending over 100 million this summer and they're relegation clubs. The Premier League is massive. The biggest teams in the Premier League, the smallest teams in the Premier League have got 10 times more money than the smallest teams in Serie A and La Liga. The Premier League is turning into the Super League, and you make a really good point here. I think Napoli have been brilliant, but they might look to sell their stars after this season. AC Milan might look to sell some of their stars. La Liga, they're screwed financially. Real Madrid's the only La Liga team that's going to make it outside the Champions League group. A lot of the Atletico Madrid and Barcelona have got a lot of financial issues. We're in a good place, the Premier League, where we have decent financial situation, and maybe we can capitalise on that. A lot of players from abroad will be going a lot cheaper because the clubs need the money as well. I think, the Premier League is becoming the Super League, and this brings me back to another point of the Glazers need to invest in United because all the teams around us are investing more and more and more, and all the teams in the Premier League are starting to invest quite a fair chunk of money compared to other leagues. So the Glazers, they need to invest quite heavily to keep up with this in the Premier League. The Glazers need to invest really heavily to even, keep up with the rest of the Premier League as well, because we are becoming the Super League. It's mad, the Premier League is coming. Hashtag Glazers out, 55 in. Smash the like button for Glazers out. Wolves and Villa both spent loads. Don't get me started on Forest. Crazy. I mean, even West Ham have got some sort of good signings in. Scamacca, Paqueta as well. Spurs signed Richarlison for 60 million. He's not even starting. Yeah, like in the Premier League, teams, there's so many teams that will spend 50 million plus on a player, and a lot of them don't even start them to be a bench player. The amount of money that the Premier League has spent, I think in the last 5 seasons, 90% of the net spend has been Premier League. It's absolutely crazy as well. Honestly, absolutely crazy. And the Premier League deserves to be the Super League as it's the only one with fair fund distribution and it's not democratic. The other ones are corrupt. I don't know anything about that, but I'll count you on that, Sergio. I think the Premier League is the best league in the world. I don't get how people still to this day are saying La Liga is better. When it was Messi and Ronaldo in La Liga, fine. But as soon as Ronaldo left La Liga, it was dead. As soon as Ronaldo left, La Liga was finished. They still had Messi for another season or so, but now there's no Messi and Ronaldo in La Liga. It's just not the same. I mean, look, they've got some really good, exciting talents. Valverde, Pedri coming through, absolutely fantastic. Vinicius Jr., fantastic player as well. Of course, they've got some fantastic talents. Frankie de Jong, who's sitting on the bench, not even playing for them. Well, he is now. There's injuries. I mean, Ansu Fati. There are some really good players in the La Liga, and they keep getting the Ballon d'Or winners because Real Madrid are just insane in the Champions League. But if you take Real Madrid and Barcelona out, that league is dead. But I tell you what, the Italian league I think is slowly improving, apart from Juventus' downfall. Maybe it's just improving because Juventus' downfall. But I do think the Premier League is got so much more money. Like it's mad, and I think that we've got to spend to keep up with that. But I think because as we're going back to the main point, because I've just gone on and load of waffle, I think that United. Yeah, 100%. There's going to be Italian clubs and Spanish clubs looking to sell players to raise some money. And United need to capitalise on that. Cody Gakpo is now going to be £30 million because PSV need the money. That's 30 million for Cody Gakpo, guys. Like, that is an absolute steal. Diogo Costa, 30-40 million goalkeeper. But there's going to be right backs that are very good outside the Premier League available for 20 million. We also... When you look at the whole scenario and the whole situation, Man United need maybe a backup centre-back. United need another midfielder. Barcelona are desperate to sell Frankie de Jong. Barcelona, guess what, guys? Yes, you won't believe this, people. Guess bloody what? Barcelona want to sell Frankie de Jong in January to raise some money. Barcelona have decided they're going to put Frankie de Jong up for sale in January because they need to raise some money. I mean, it's mad. It's mad. And I mean, I showed you a graph of how the Premier League spend compared to other clubs, but it's absolute madness. But look, guys, I do want to get into the West Ham part of this video. I do want to get into United's team versus West Ham and all of that. But I do want to say this as well. Fred spoke about Antony doing the spin skill and said it's not offensive to anyone what he did. In Brazil, a lot of players do this. Why is everyone overreacting about Antony's spin skill? A lot of people protecting him, but Pep Guardiola said something really interesting about United, and when it comes from someone like Pep Guardiola, it does fill you with confidence. I really take what Pep Guardiola says. And Pep Guardiola said, I have a feeling that United is coming. Finally, United is coming. I saw yesterday against Sheriff, and I saw Chelsea the first half, and I like what I see from United just now. Pep Guardiola's come out publicly, and he said he sees United, and he says, finally, he's never said this before. Even when we came second under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he never said this before because he could probably see the football we played under Ole was unsustainable. But Pep Guardiola's come out and said, I have a feeling that United is coming. And, obviously he's friends with Ten Hag. That does give him a bias and all of that. But if you look at the way United are playing some of the best football we've played in a long time. Like, United are playing very good football, very positive, very attractive, attacking football. That's the kind of football United is playing. Positive, attractive, attacking football, dominating possession. When we drop points, we deserve to win the game. Whereas under Ole, we'd win the game, but do we even deserve to win it? Sustainable football, building something. Since the Brentford loss, bar the Man City game, we've been absolutely unbelievable. And it looks like we're going to get top four, and this team looks good, and the players have been consistent, and Casemiro is amazing, and Alessandro Martinez is amazing. And you get your Pep Guardiola's making comments on it. And it does fill you with a bit of confidence as a United fan that even Pep Guardiola can see something as well. But let's go for 300 likes, people. 400 people watching. Let's go for 300 likes. But big up, obviously, Pep Guardiola saying that United's coming back. I do like Pep. He's very honest as well. But look, Frankie de Jong to United. Barca want to get rid of him. Gakpo to United. PSV have to sell Gakpo for financial reasons, like Barcelona have to get rid of de Jong for financial reasons. And Diogo Costa, the goalkeeper's wanted by United, and the right back Frimpong's wanted by United. United also want, obviously, a striker as well. Brighton have so many hidden gems. Moises Caicedo, brilliant. And João Felix scored 2 goals and he's substitute. He's 15 minutes. Well, João Felix also is linked to United. I think, I will say this, okay, João Felix, Oshmeans, de Jong's more summer signings, I think, for United. I think right now, Frimpong and Gakpo seem to be the most realistic January signings for United. But look, how United missed out on Caicedo, 4 or 5 million as well. 4 or 5 million, and they said no. Man United could have gone for 4 million, and the board said no for Moises Caicedo. It's crazy as well. But let me get into the lineup for the West Ham game as well. So there, I'm going to get into my predicted lineup, and then I'm going to get into the rumoured lineup going about on Twitter There's an elite lineup that's come out on Twitter as well. So I believe the lineup will be David De Gea in goal, Delo at right back. I believe it will be Luke Shaw at left back. Alessandro Martinez 100% is playing at centre back unless he's injured. I believe it will be Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno midfield three. I'm going to show the leaked lineup going about as well, but obviously take the leaked lineup with a pinch of salt because some people just do it for clicks. So these players are 100% playing. Now for me, Rashford is playing, and I think that it will be Rashford up top with Garnacho on the left here and Antony on the right here. And there's rumours that Maguire's going to play for the physicality versus West Ham, but it could be Lindelof. So this is my predicted lineup for tomorrow's game. I think, Ronaldo, he probably won't play Ronaldo. Garnacho keeps his place. I think Garnacho deserves to keep his place. I think the midfield three is untouched. And hopefully he goes with Lindelof. However, the rumour going about is that Maguire is set to play. This is the rumours going around on Twitter. Harry Maguire is set to play. Rashford's going to be on the left and Ronaldo's going to be up top. According to the Twitter, this will be Manchester United's lineup tomorrow versus West Ham. I mean, I don't know if this is right. We'll wait and see tomorrow. This is the elite lineup going ahead of West Ham. I'd have liked to have seen Garnacho. However, I have no problem with Rashford on the left. I don't like Rashford as a striker, so if it means Rashford's on the left instead of I'm happy with that. Antony will probably keep his place on the right. There was a prediction that maybe Bruno plays on the right, Eriksen plays as a 10, Donny comes in and Garnacho plays on the left, but that's overcomplicated. But I do think there's chances of Donny coming on here. I do think there's chances in the second half of Donny coming on as a 10, Bruno switching to the right, Donny as the 10, Antony comes off. I do think there's chances of Garnacho getting on here and maybe Ronaldo comes off and Rashford moves striker as well. I do think there's chances. I do think, though, very confident it will be Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno midfield three, despite rumours that Donny was going to get in the lineup. But I do confidently believe Donny will get on as a sub. But the question is it going to be Maguire tomorrow or Lindelof? Because I don't think Lindelof put a foot wrong. And I think Lindelof deserves to start. But you just know Harry Maguire will play because he's Harry Maguire. Garnacho deserves to start exactly as well. And what was Ten Hag doing with Ronaldo and Rashford beside each other? Ten Hag mentioned that during the press conference. This is a really good point here from David. Ten Hag mentioned in his press conference he wanted to try something with Ronaldo and Rashford playing together. So if we do this here quickly, what Ten Hag sort of did in that sort of last half an hour versus Sheriff was it was kind of Rashford and Ronaldo here because Garnacho came off, didn't he? Garnacho ended up coming off at some point. It was Antony had come on. I'm trying to just figure out what we did. It was more like, so Bruno was here. Sorry, Bruno was here. I know Scott McTominay came on for Casemiro, didn't he? Scott McTominay came on for Casemiro. Eriksen kind of was here. Bruno was. I'm trying to think of what we did. It was because it was like Scott McTominay came on, didn't he? And then did Fred come on as a sub? I'm not sure. So we kind of did something like this, I think. It was like Bruno kind of went to the right, Garnacho was on the left, and Ronaldo and Rashford were sort of the strikers. But I guess at the beginning of the second half is what I'm trying to think of. It was like Bruno on the right. Bruno on the right, Ronaldo up top, Garnacho was on the left. And he did something like this in the second half versus Sheriff, where Rashford almost went as a second striker. Garnacho went on the left, Bruno went on the right, and obviously Casemiro obviously came off, but it doesn't really matter. He did something like that. So it'd be interesting to see if Ten Hag did do something like that again. It would be interesting to see. I think Casemiro will start, hard to get past. Yeah, exactly. Daniel, who supports West Ham, said his predicted lineup is Fabianski, Emerson, Johnson, Suma, Cresswell, Rice, Souček, Fornals, Bowen, Benrahma, and Scamacca. Good West Ham lineup, but West Ham have got a few injuries, I believe, as well, don't they? They've Paqueta's out. I think there was even questions over Bowen's fitness as well. West Ham got a few injuries that could help United potentially as well. But I prefer Lindelof and Martinez yet, but I think Maguire might play for physicality when you're playing West Ham. I think the fact that Maguire came on at halftime for me indicates he will start. But I don't think Lindelof deserves to be dropped. I think him and Martin has been doing well. And don't forget, Pep's first choice people was Bravo, and he was an absolute flop. It was 15 shots at goal, and City conceded 15. Then he got Edison. Bravo was seasoned pro at Barca, then failed at City. You've always got to be careful bringing a new goalkeeper in. Obviously, United do want to bring in a new goalkeeper in Diogo Costa. We've obviously been talking about transfer news about Gakpo to United in today's video. And today we're just talking a little bit about the West Ham game. I believe West Ham's going to be a really, really tight game, but I do have a feeling that Manchester United are going to win 2-1, guys. But big up everybody in the chat. Diego saying 3-1. Is it here? Big up everyone for tuning in. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. Thanks everyone. See you next time for the watch along. Bye.